Welcome to the Club of Secret Mental Techniques number 7. The deceptions of your own subconscious mind. Doctor, one of the most powerful mechanisms of the subconscious mind to limit the development of our conscious mind's potential is to generate rejection and fear of change within us. This resistance hinders our ability to acknowledge that transformation is essential for human evolution. Without it, we would still be living in a primitive state.
Yes, Carla, you see, logic goes against what the subconscious mind dictates. The subconscious mind tries to prevent any possible change from happening. But logic dictates, well, try making a change. If you try it out and it works, and it proves effective, then keep it. If it doesn't work out, then return. However, if you don't undertake the change, you lose the opportunity to have brought about a transformation.
Exactly. Doctor, history demonstrates that music and more recently, the art of filmmaking have been powerful catalysts for profound changes that have propelled our evolution forward. However, the subconscious mind frequently manipulates these advancements, leading us to utilize them ineffectively or even in a counterproductive manner.
Yes, we are truly living in an era where change is nearly continuous and perpetually ongoing. And we must put a stop to this strategy dictated by the subconscious mind. We must now persuade the subconscious mind that it is for the overall good of the entire organism that we have to implement the changes that are being presented to us. Promoted by it is the conscious mind itself indeed. The rivalry continues. Now it's time for the subconscious mind to let go and allow for transformation, to let the conscious mind take over. To the conscious mind, it's just like a father, isn't it? One who doesn't want his son, who has already graduated, earned a master's degree, worked in the business for years, proven himself, and demonstrated his capabilities to take over the business. The father still doesn't want to let go of the business, right? It's difficult. As a father, I understand it completely, but there comes a time when you have to say, wait a minute, or listen, something like that. If my son takes the reins of the business, perhaps he will make it flourish, perhaps he'll bring in more deals, and I'll have more responsibilities than I did before.
Right.
And we find ourselves in the same situation. It's the subconscious mind that instills in the father a fear of change.
This fear prevents evolution. A clear example, Doctor, is the way we perceive sexuality. Often, we endeavor to learn novel sexual practices or positions with the intention of intensifying pleasure and fortifying love, failing to grasp that the profound distinction actually resides between physical gratification and spiritual fulfillment. We ignore that love doesn't come from simple desire but primarily from admiration. Both the mutual admiration within a couple and the admiration each individual feels for themselves,
That's the significant difference right there. That's the transformation we truly need to bring about. Whether the subconscious mind continues to reign supreme and with this insatiable pursuit of pleasure, right? It's led us nowhere. On the contrary, it has actually hindered us in many respects. And the conscious mind comes with a higher morality. It comes with a focus on love, on spiritual matters.
And this is very confusing for us, Doctor.
Of course.
In long-term relationships, when one thinks love is already over, It's not that love has ended, but perhaps the subconscious mind, by not feeling
insatiable craving for power. That truly leads you to these very mistaken conclusions, doesn't it?
That's right.
And, well, I always tell myself I have a personal saying that not every day can be a Sunday. But then again, they won't always be Mondays either.
Yes, absolutely. That is a very profound and insightful statement, Doctor. Very well said. Love, Doctor, is the force that gives meaning to intimacy. It is not the sexual practices themselves that create love, but rather love that truly leads to a complete sexual experience. True enjoyment isn't merely confined to brief instances of physical pleasure, but rather it stretches into a spiritual union that allows us to savor every moment of the sexual experience. Without love, the sexual act degenerates into an illusion of pleasure, much like a drug. It's an artificial construction of the subconscious mind that generates dependence and a feeling of emptiness.
It's quite easy to prove that point, Carla. We as men, I can speak from a man's point of view. I'm not sure about women, but for us men, if you are only seeking 15 seconds of mere physical pleasure, the sexual act will quickly get old. But if you truly love your partner, every single second of the sexual act stretches into infinity. It becomes utterly boundless. It's utter enjoyment. That makes all the difference. It's when you exclaim, "Hey, how have I been using my subconscious mind throughout my entire life? I've been tremendously sabotaging myself, and you can verify this for yourself within the realm of sexuality. I employ my conscious mind to engage in lovemaking with my spouse, and each moment becomes truly extraordinary. The last 15 seconds that we are talking about are nothing more than the icing on the cake."
I agree, Doctor. This is indeed a very thin, very dangerous line where we're guided by either the subconscious or the conscious mind. And that's precisely where the distinction truly lies.
A huge difference.
The subconscious mind, Doctor. The subconscious mind often tries to mislead us with the allure of pleasure that is immediate, transient, and endlessly recurring. True pleasure isn't something that should be actively sought out for its own sake, nor should one attempt to increase it through various techniques. Instead, it flourishes organically, in direct proportion to how love itself develops and deepens. When sexual pleasure is pursued without genuine love, the universal laws of attraction and repulsion ultimately degrade the connection and lead to its erosion. Given that true pleasure cannot be sustained by physical dexterity alone. What is your take on this, Doctor?
Look, another strategy of the subconscious mind is that it dismisses the importance of universal laws. However, it is truly essential that we give paramount importance to all universal laws. Because if I let go of holding these glasses, they're going to fall to the ground and they're going to break, aren't they? Well, they are unbreakable laws that don't fail. Similarly, the law of attraction and repulsion must always automatically come into play. Why is that so? Because if not, we would spend our entire lives solely in pursuit of sexual pleasure. It truly is a profound pleasure, but that's precisely why the laws of attraction and repulsion exist, and we absolutely must utilize them with the conscious mind, not the subconscious. Why? Because the subconscious mind is all about pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. The conscious mind is saying, no, you require a partner, you require an associate. Both of you need to exert yourselves collaboratively as a cohesive team. Don't wear yourselves out, support one another. It is. It's the huge difference between success and failure. Using the conscious mind versus using the subconscious mind.
Yes, I completely concur with you, Doctor. The subconscious mind's greatest deception, Doctor, lies in its capacity to manipulate the effectiveness of the conscious mind. A common example of this can be seen when driving a car. Initially, we employ our conscious attention fully at 100%. However, our concentration is quickly split between the responsibility of driving and extraneous thoughts, often sexual in nature, which immediately reduces the effectiveness of the conscious mind by half with each. For each activity, if we introduce music, news, or various other distractions, the conscious mind becomes further fragmented, thereby diminishing its responsiveness to less than a third of its full effectiveness.
That's right, Carla. The divide and conquer strategy was invented by the subconscious mind hundreds of thousands of years ago, a very long time ago. Why is that so? Because this truly enables the subconscious mind to keep on reigning supreme. If the subconscious mind possesses, for example, a capability of 50 units, and the conscious mind possesses double that capacity or even more, all the subconscious mind has to do is to divide the conscious mind's attention among several things simultaneously. And by splitting its focus into 3 simultaneous tasks, the conscious mind's potential drops to 30, and the subconscious mind, with its 50, continues to reign over the organism. The subconscious mind actually performs this action for 87,000 seconds every single day. That's exactly the issue. That's what I'm trying to say. The main objective of these secret mental techniques is to always maintaining the conscious mind's coherence, keeping it focused on a singular issue always at the very same time. And just consider the profound irony of this whole situation. Once you begin to apply the secret mental techniques, the potential of the conscious mind truly starts to expand, but from 100 it goes to 1,000. So the conscious mind can now be divided, right? Simultaneously. Why? Because now splitting it into 2 things means it's 500 and 500. The subconscious mind remains at 50, but you must first complete the exercises and then boost the potential of your conscious mind.
All right, Doctor? Yes, it's part of the exercises we have to apply. This specific way of life, Doctor, characterized by the continuous splitting of our conscious mind, ultimately fortifies the subconscious mind, which then exerts dominance over the conscious mind. So, it becomes progressively more challenging for us to reclaim the conscious mind's supremacy. Nevertheless, even though it might seem nearly impossible, with discipline and by applying these secret mental techniques, when we least expect it, we will have already re-established the leadership of our conscious mind.
You're right, Carla. This influence of the subconscious mind has already come to an end for a lot of people. However, it is a goal that must be attained by everyone, by all the inhabitants of this planet across all countries, for the reason that there is a fundamental connection that exists among all of humanity. Just as there exists a connection among the primal minds of all humans, we need to forge a profound connection among all the conscious minds across the entire planet to realize what the renowned psychologist Carl Jung aptly referred to as the collective mind.
Collective mind.
And it should no longer be solely the subconscious mind, but rather the fully awakened conscious mind. If anyone goes to a scientist, at that moment, they will compel you to use your conscious mind. Otherwise, you won't comprehend what they are discussing. It's like the secret mental techniques I recall people would comment, I didn't grasp anything during the initial programs, and then later on they'd say, all right, now I'm beginning to comprehend it. And that's precisely it. Your conscious mind assists the other person in using their own conscious mind.
Yeah, like a doctor operating, right? That's a clear example. You have to have a very conscious mind because the responsibility you have in front of you.
And all his assistants, nurses, and everyone start to use their conscious mind. Doctor, can I help you with this?
That's correct. You're absolutely right, doctor. The subconscious mind, much like a cunning strategist, has employed a divide and conquer tactic on us, thereby preserving its dominion and dictating the development and execution of our evolutionary processes. This is in response to a survival instinct to protect its supremacy over the conscious mind.
Yes, Carla, and the subconscious mind has artfully and cunningly utilized the most powerful beast we carry within us, the beast of fear. This is precisely why we experience the fear of change. It truly uses it in various forms, and it utilizes it with great brilliance and effectiveness. They've coexisted for many, many years, haven't they? For billions of years, the beast of fear, alongside the subconscious mind, has been present. Fear was incredibly beneficial during an evolutionary stage that we moved past millions of years ago, a time from which we have long since advanced. At this present time, fear really serves very few purposes. And the absurd thing then is that we often use it in the most detrimental way possible. Isn't that right? Fear should be used so that we don't make bad investments, and also to not to steal, for example, and the subconscious has seen fit to use that beast it is used incorrectly. That's why it is such a beast. When you begin to use fear in a beneficial way, it ceases to be a beast and instead transforms into a power. It becomes a power.
Like what exactly, for instance? What would aid us in understanding this, doctor?
It would make us, for example, more conservative with our investments in finance. If the bank is only offering me 6% interest and some other company comes along offering 10%, it's highly probable that it's a fraudulent scheme. Wouldn't you agree? Because the bank itself would already struggle to pay me that 6%. How on earth is another company realistically going to offer me 10 or 12%? That's utterly absurd. It's a fraudulent scheme. We're talking about issues of that nature. And the other factor we need to consider is Murphy's Law. Murphy's Law is another universal law that we disregard. Murphy's Law is when you find yourself saying, what if this happens? And then dismissing it with, no, that never happens. That's Murphy's Law. It's going to happen. So it's always, hey, I'd better not buy car insurance. You crash. Hey, let me borrow my brother's car. Nothing will happen anyway. You crash.
Doctor, is this a coincidence, these events?
They are universal laws. They are. They are universal laws that are there so that you learn how to use the fear as a power, not as a beast. In that case, we completely disregard the fear, thinking, no, it won't happen. And that's where the universe tells you that's not how fear is meant to be used. You're meant to use it here. And when you make that investment there, you have to make use of fear, right?
All right. However, doctor, in some ways, our subconscious mind is actually somewhat correct, considering that the conscious mind, because of its inexperience, can indeed jeopardize the entire organism. Therefore, the authentic evolutionary journey for the advancement of our organism necessitates that we initially fortify the conscious mind's effectiveness before we assert its dominance. Thereby developing its effectiveness to the fullest. Only in this way will we be able to clearly and responsibly take the reins and direct the course of our lives, avoiding the detrimental conflicts within our minds, preventing them from perpetually imposing their limitations and steering us toward increasingly problematic existences. What are your thoughts on this, Doctor?
It's the very same example we were talking about, isn't it? Of the son and the father start to argue and fight. The business begins to suffer. All the other employees are affected and they suffer as well. And in part, the father is right, isn't he? Because the son lacks experience and they are falling into what Americans call a catch-22. What exactly does that imply? That the father won't give the reins to his son, and therefore he doesn't get any experience, right? Therefore, he will never gain the necessary experience if he does not take the reins, and the father and son will continue to fight over the business. The best thing to do is just let him go. First, ensure readiness, which we did using mental techniques. We began by strengthening the conscious mind. With the conscious mind now ready, perhaps not entirely, but release control of the business to him so he can acquire more experience and be better prepared. You'll still be there to support him regardless. The subconscious mind is there to offer its support to the conscious mind. I began employing these techniques by first offering an apology to my unconscious mind and my subconscious mind for having neglected them throughout my entire life. And indeed, that's precisely what we have accomplished. We tend to ignore our minds, and we have not given them the proper respect they truly deserve. And that enabled them to leave my conscious mind in peace for a while so it could develop and evolve. And then they very nobly, they bestowed the authority upon my conscious mind and have steadfastly supported it through everything. And they've certainly put it through some tough challenges. Wow, but it's part of the game. It is simply part of the journey, and the only way to reach heaven is to go through hell first.
And it's not easy, Doctor.